Once upon a time, in the endless golden fields of the African savanna, where the air shimmered with heat and lions ruled with pride, there was one very unusual lion named Lobo. He wasn't like the other lions. Oh no, Lobo had a big problem. Every time he tried to roar like a king, it came out sounding like Loo-Boo instead of a mighty roar. Now, lions are famous for their roars. It's what makes the other animals respect them. A roar tells everyone, "This is my land." But when Lobo tried, the zebras laughed so hard they fell into the mud, the elephants nearly tripped over their trunks, and even the giraffes had tears in their eyes from laughing. Poor Lobo would puff up his chest, flex his muscles, and open his mouth wide, but out came that silly, squeaky, hiccupy sound. Loo-Boo! Did he just say Loo-Boo? The meerkats would giggle. Maybe he's a baby hippo in disguise, the monkeys would shout from the trees. But Lobo wasn't angry. He was embarrassed. He'd practice at night when no one was around, climbing to the top of a small hill and trying again and again. But no matter how hard he tried, it always came out wrong. One day, while Lobo was practicing, a cheeky monkey named Momo dropped from a tree and landed right on his head. "Practicing your Loo-Boo again, mighty lion?" Momo teased, grinning. Lobo sighed. "I'm trying to roar like the others, Momo, but it never works." Momo hung upside down from Lobo's mane. "Who says you have to roar like them? Maybe the world needs a lion who goes Loo-Boo instead!" Lobo frowned. "That's not funny, Momo." "Oh, it's hilarious," Momo said, laughing so hard he almost fell. "But maybe it's special too." Lobo rolled his eyes, but deep down, Momo's words stuck with him. Days passed and trouble came to the savanna. A gang of mischievous hyenas led by a big nasty one named Zugo had taken over the watering hole, the only clean water for miles. The lions tried to chase them away, but the hyenas fought back fiercely. They laughed, howled, and worked together in chaos. Even the elephants were too scared to go near. One evening, the lion chief, an old wise lion named Baraka, called a meeting. "We must take back our water," he said. "But the hyenas are too clever. We need a plan." Every lion looked around, but no one had an idea, except for Lobo, who suddenly raised his paw. "I have a plan," he said. The lions stared at him. "You," scoffed one. "What are you going to do, Loo-Boo them to death?" The whole pride burst into laughter. Even Baraka smiled, though kindly. Lobo stood tall, though his heart was racing. "Give me one night, just one night, and I'll get our water back." Baraka's eyes narrowed. "Very well, young one, but if you fail, you must clean the cub's paws for a week." Lobo gulped. "Deal." That night, Lobo lay under the moonlight, his mind racing. He couldn't roar or fight the hyenas alone. Then he heard a familiar voice from the tree above. "Still awake, Loo-Boo?" Momo said, swinging down. "I have to do something, Momo," Lobo said quietly. "I promised the pride." Momo grinned. "Then we'll do it together." "Together?" "Of course. You've got the muscles, I've got the brains, and between us, we've got a lot of bananas." Lobo blinked. "Bananas?" "Trust me," said Momo. "Hyenas may be mean, but they're also very, very dumb." The two spent the night gathering vines, mud, feathers, and glowing beetles. By sunrise, they had built something strange, a huge, scary-looking creature made of branches and leaves, with beetles glowing like eyes. Momo sat on Lobo's back, holding the glowing stick. "Are you sure this will work?" Lobo whispered. "Of course," Momo grinned. "Just follow my lead, and don't forget your best Loo-Boo." When the sun set, the hyenas gathered at the watering hole, laughing and splashing. Suddenly, a strange glowing figure appeared in the tall grass. The ground rustled. The beetles' lights flickered. "What's that?" whispered one hyena. "It's glowing," said another. Then came a deep, haunting sound. "Loo-Boo!" The hyenas froze. Their fur stood on end. "It's the spirit of the jungle," screamed one. "No, it's the ghost of the lions we scared," yelled another. "Run for your lives," howled Zugo, and the hyenas scattered into the darkness, tripping and bumping into each other. By morning, they were gone. The watering hole was safe again. The lions came to drink and found Lobo sitting proudly beside Momo, both covered in mud and feathers but smiling from ear to ear. Baraka walked up to him, eyes wide. "You did it," he said. "How?" Lobo grinned. "I didn't need to roar. I just needed to think like a monkey." Momo threw a banana in the air and caught it with his tail. "And eat like one too." From that day on, Lobo wasn't called the lion who couldn't roar. He became Lobo the Cleverheart, the lion who saved his pride with courage and brains instead of claws and teeth. But the funny thing was, Lobo still couldn't roar properly. His Loo-Boo never changed. Yet every time he did it now, the savannah didn't laugh at him. They cheered. Even the elephants trumpeted back and the monkeys drummed on the trees. Loo-Boo! Loo-Boo! They chanted. Lobo became a legend. He didn't chase fame or power. Instead, he helped every animal who needed it. He stopped a wildfire by leading animals to the river, rescued a lost baby zebra, and even taught the young lions how to use their heads before their claws. Years later, one golden evening, Lobo stood on the same hill where he used to practice. The wind brushed through his mane. Momo was older now, with a few gray hairs, sitting on his shoulder, eating his 1,000th banana. "Remember when they used to laugh at you?" Momo said, chuckling. "I remember," Lobo said with a smile. "But I guess it wasn't so bad after all." Lobo took a deep breath and decided to try roaring one last time. Low! The sound that came out was strong, deep, and powerful. It rolled across the plains like thunder, echoing far and wide. The zebras looked up. The elephants trumpeted in surprise. Even the trees seemed to tremble. Momo's eyes widened. "You did it! You really did it!" But Lobo just smiled softly. "Maybe it only worked because I stopped trying to be someone else." From then on, every animal in the savannah told the story of Lobo the Clever Heart, the lion who couldn't roar but found his courage anyway. Parents told their children at night, "Don't worry if you're different. Remember Lobo. He didn't roar like everyone else, and yet he became a hero." And sometimes, late at night, when the stars glitter above the savannah, you can still hear a faint, funny echo in the wind. A sound that's not quite a roar, not quite a laugh, but full of warmth and joy. It goes like this: Loo-Boo! And if you hear it, don't be scared. It's just Lobo and Momo, somewhere in the stars, reminding everyone that being different isn't a weakness. It's the start of something extraordinary. And that's the true story, never told before, never written in any book, of the lion who couldn't roar, but still became the most loved, funniest, and bravest hero in the entire jungle.